Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the webinar series here at MIT. We are here for the Talk to the Veteran series. My name is Glenson Tony, and I'm the manager of the Incubation Center here at MIT. Well, we have all traveled through this crossroad where we choose a career path for ourselves. And when we choose this career path, we have a lot of questions in our mind. Should it be my passion or should it be money? Should it be future or should it be scope? But if you look down the lane, if you look down a memory lane, all those who have made a mark for themselves are the ones who have followed their passion, are the ones who loved what they do and have followed what they love. Today with us, we have an eminent person, an Indian from Chikmagalur, an engineer from Chikmagalur who did his schooling from Jagdishwara English Medium, who walked down the lane. He did his schooling further in Jawahar Navodaya School and starred in the European satellite mission. It's none other than Mr. Sandeep Ramanath. He is the AVI manager and is working with the solar system research at the Planck Institute. He started off as a design engineer in 2006, later worked for Airbus as a senior design engineer, and since 2012, he is an AVI manager working for the solar orbiter launched by the European Satellite Agency. He was one among the few invited for the launch of the satellite orbiter at the Florida Launch Center. It's indeed an honor to have Mr. Sandeep Ramanath here. Welcome to you, sir. Welcome to MIT.
Thank you very much, Glenson. Thank you for having me here.
It's indeed an honor to have you here. So here we have a mixed audience. We have faculty, students from engineering, and also students from PU colleges who are live here listening up to your journey from being a mechanical engineer to starring in one of the most prestigious projects in the European Space Agency. I would like to welcome you again. So Mr. Sandeep, I just wanted to ask you, could you shed some light on the project that you did at the European Space Agency? And I would also want to know, how did it feel to be invited for the launch at NASA?
Oh, thank you very much. It was really an honor for me to witness the launch of Solar Orbiter, which was a great mission by itself because of its planned mission capabilities and also the science that it is going to do. And together with the Parker Pro Plus, so as a scientific industry itself, so we are looking forward for many to look into the hidden histories of sun, like how it works and what's happening in the visible surface of the sun and how is it keeping the sun around its heliosysmic surface. And the point here is I am part as an AIV manager for one of the 6 remote sensing instruments called polarimetric and heliosysmic imager on board the solar orbiter. And it was really a great honor to be there with my colleagues, with the scientists who have worked for so many years, to see a piece of work that's flying into outer space.
All right. You also share the same prideness that you have, because being an Indian, we feel proud that from a place like Chikmagalur, you have climbed up to Florida, flying up the flag of India. So I just wanted to know, I was just curious to know how difficult or how easy was it for you to transition yourself from being a mechanical engineer to a complete IT-based project that you worked on?
In principle, it was not an IT-based project, so I am still a mechanical engineer. So my job was related to completely mechanical engineering, but it was mostly related to the space field here with all the process control that I had from my previous experience working in Airbus and also my previous work experience working from Safran Engineering Services. So since the beginning, I was working in mechanical engineering field, and still today I am working in the same mechanical engineering field, but in a different level at the system level.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Sandeep. Now, this is generally a question and a statement that most of our students make. You know, I'm a mechanical engineer. I know the machines well. But my question to you is, do you think that's all is enough, or do you need to actually go further and think of making up yourself, equipping yourself to be interdisciplinary in nature?
Yes, you are right. The core knowledge is very important nowadays, but the broad knowledge of the industry that you are working is also very much needed. It is because that sometimes you will be lost in the hay of all the problems that you're working with, and you don't know what the whole industry is there. For example, if you take pager, which was there a few years ago, and if you're an expert somewhere there, but if you're not looking into the field, the pager was there only for a few years of time, and if you have not equipped or enhanced your knowledge to work with mobile industry or any other electronic stuff, mostly that you would have lost your whole career path there, because the industry immediately moved to the mobile phones. So you should be ready to accept the change. You should have a will to learn more, and you should be more profitable and proactive and self-motivated to learn more, not only knowing the core mechanical engineering knowledge, but also to have a broad perspective of the industry you're working, where it is going, what is its future, and also look into your aim, what you are doing, and will the work and your aim are in the same direction.
All right. Embrace the change and fit in yourself to the best way possible is what you said. All right. Now, I was just curious to know if you had to change two things the way you did your mechanical engineering, because you've been in the industry for so long and you've seen what are the requirements that the industry needs. And you know from the ground reality what industry looks for. So if you wanted to change two things from the way you did your engineering, your mechanical engineering, what would it be?
Oh, yes, a few of the mistakes or something that I should have done before was to keep an eye on all the subjects that I learned from the first semester, because the core industry or the core subject what you study will be very much useful for the first 15-20 years in your life, and then it becomes really broader. So you should have information on everything. And what happens is, normally when you're studying in 7th semester, normally you will forget what you have studied in the 3rd or 4th year, because all the subjects are finished there, and then you will start with the new subject. But it is not the case when you start working. So you should have an eye, or you should have a memory of all these things what you have learned for the whole 4 years, and you should keep this history throughout your career when you are working. So sometimes it might not look so correct when I consider the service industry what we are working for, because the service industries in India presently is focused on a small part of a very big project in which the process is very streamlined, and you will be working in a given set of parameters. So most likely you will not go out of it. So you will be working there for many years, and it most likely that you don't need it. But in the future, it is not the case, because India is moving towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. So we will have more of opportunities to design our own things. We are already doing it, but the job opportunities will be even more. So you have to come out of the small box where you are working at a small part of a big aircraft, for example, or a small part of a big car. And then you need to know all factors of the mechanical engineering, for example, thermodynamics, hydrodynamics, heat and mass transfer, and also a little bit of chemistry maybe, and also a little bit of mathematics also, and also related to the software that you use, maybe small coding knowledge will also help you to keep up this thing. So it is very important that you keep the history like in a very closer way, so that if you want to go back, you can immediately go back and get the knowledge, and you are not totally out of it. And other point I would say, at least in my case, I took a little bit of time to do my higher education. But in case if students has the possibility, and if there are no constraints, I would say that you immediately continue your education if you have a passion to will to do this. And if you're also willing to do a higher education, maybe give a gap of 1 or 2 years so that you will see the world in a different perspective. But then it would give you a good head start to go ahead with your engineering career.
All right, thank you. Strong basics with a little of coding and continuing education. I mean, taking it forward, having a research aptitude and looking forward to it is the key, is what you said. I was just going through your profile, and I'm really amazed that you're among the very few who had the possibility of working with Airbus. So how did that happen, and what was your journey with Airbus?
Okay, so in principle, I was not working directly for Airbus. So I was part of a company, a tier 1 company, which was working for Airbus. So I was working for Mahindra Satyam. So there are hundreds of people who have been working for Airbus via the subcontracting system, and it was really great. So I also had an opportunity because after my engineering, I got my first job working for Safran Aerospace, which was already a Taiwan supplier. So they were manufacturing everything except the aircraft. They had engines, they had harness, they had electronic systems, they have landing gear, everything. And then, so even though I was working on only small part of harness, but you had a feeling that you were part of a big company that is doing everything for aircraft. And then I moved to Satyam, and then from Satyam I had the opportunity to work for Airbus at the Airbus site, where the Airbus biggest jet, A380, the double decker jet, was being assembled. It is in Laga there, and I had few options, a few months to work at this site and to have a feel that how the whole aircraft is assembled together and how it is built over the days and over the months, and how the final assembly happens and until it is delivered to the customers. So even though I was part of the small system where it was only the harness of the aircraft, but I had the opportunity to see the whole system running in front of me. It was really nice.
All right, great. So you've been lucky enough to work in one of the best industry and rub shoulders with the best people. So I would, talk to you with the perspective of a mechanical engineer who is going to join industry very soon. Industry is turning interdisciplinary. There are a lot of new things, disruptive technologies that are coming in. So people say you need to adapt to it, you need to rewire, learn, unlearn, and suit to the new job industry. So a fresh mechanical engineering graduate who wants to go in and just start his career, what would be your advice to him?
I would say first is the passion. So this is a word that you will hear every time in your life whenever you are asked as a kid, like what you want to do, what is your dream, what is your passion. But over the years, these things might change depending upon what you want to do or what is the current situation in your life and maybe financial situation. But I would say that you have to keep up in one of the 3 groups that I was discussing with my friends and my colleague. And I also felt the same, that normally there are people who look just to find a job. You just need a job because you are already having a home loan or education loan, and then you want to take the offset from your parents. Or somebody wants to just join a job, but you have a different aim in your life. Yeah, maybe I just want to be in US, maybe, or I want to have my own company, no matter what the education is, whatever work I am doing, but after 10 years, I want to open my company, for example. And the third one would be a group where people think already have an aim, they really focus on their aim, they take time to do it, no matter what the financial situation is, no matter what the industry is there, no matter how difficult it is to learn. So they will make some efforts, they will give some time, they will put all the hard work to reach this. So the first thing is you have to look into this table and you have to see where you are. And then if I would have been in your case at this point of time as well, you would always choose passion, because passion really takes you to a long run, maybe money not, because I am sure money is necessary. up to a certain level, but then what you really enjoy in your life is the work what you do.
All right. So passion is something that can keep us driving. So that's what we've been telling right from the beginning. The problem is we start off. We always think when we start off, we think of big numbers, but then it is definitely passion that will keep us alive and that will take us a long way. So thank you once again for that.
Thank you.
You've been associated with the space industry for long from now. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think is the prospect of a mechanical engineer in the field of space technology? Where do you think they'll fit in, and how good you think they'll fit in there?
So space industry is a very big industry like aerospace, and now it is assumed to be around 300 billion industry worldwide. And now with ISRO opening up the space industry for private sector with InSpace and NSIL, in the near future, we might see one of the SpaceXs in India. You might see one of the Blue Origins from India as well. So there is a huge opportunity for any type of engineer. I'm not talking about only mechanical engineer here. I'm talking about any type of engineer. In the future, in India itself, we have a lot of potential, and outside also, because the concept was NASA and ESA is also working, is they take the main responsibility, or that they are the main policy makers of this, but then they give option for every private sector who can compete and to get the best out of the engineering to keep things on space. So maybe not only the technology, but also for the humans on space and asteroid mining and many other technological advances. Glenson.
Okay, thank you. Now I told you that we have varied audience here. We have PO students, we have engineering students. So to all of them, what would be your word of advice? What do you think is going to be the future of engineering, and what do you think engineers are going to be in the future?
So actually, engineers are the backbone of the industry, I would say. So they are needed. They are necessary in every part of the world. Not only engineers, we need everybody else. Yeah, it's not only engineers. So the world is moving. So we need doctors, we need engineers, we need psychiatrists. There are all different fields. So that's clear. So because that we are mostly looking forward for a career as part of it. So engineering is one career, but there is even more. So what I would like to say is every engineering, every education level has a different level of job perspectives. So till now, most likely that the people from the 15-20 years that we were always talking about the job opportunities, it is most likely in the service sector, which is a little bit of different from the actual core engineering. So for example, the service sector is actually hiring the most number of people, but the core engineering is not so much. But in the near future, it will change. So I would say, when you're looking at the different fields of education, you will be aiming to a different set of work. So if you see fitting and turning, normally you will have a different set of work. And if you're doing diploma, you will aim at one level of work in the industry. And if you are doing engineering or graduation in any of related subjects, you will have one set of work, you will have one set of responsibilities. And when you do masters, it will be different. It will be in higher responsibility, technologically advanced. And with PhD, you will be doing even more. You will be looking at the core aspect of work. So now you have to look, or anybody who is at the age of 15, 16, want to see where do you want to stand in this group. And then you have to work towards it. So no, don't look at the fact, we have scope in this field, we have scope here, we have money here. That will have an impact for small or short amount of time. But at the end of the day, the whole level of the system will actually play an important role in your life, which will keep you driving so that every day morning you are going to your office with a happy mood.
All right. So I guess you are again zeroing in on the passion. You're stressing because every day I live up to what I am. So it's what I do, what I love. Am I living what I love? Am I living the life that I want? So that's all that you've been stressing again. So that's what we have to tell all our students. I was just also thinking about the higher studies aspect. You spoke about the need for higher studies and going in for research. What do you
Yes.
think is the prospect for an engineer to pursue his higher studies or research?
Oh, the prospects is wide open. So what happens is there might be a little bit of limitations, like maybe not a software engineer can do some research in mechanical engineering. That's different. But most likely, if you are coming from any field of engineering, not only mechanical, you can always do a master's and then you can do research. And then this research depends on the field. For example, you can do PhD and you can work for space industry, and you can also do PhD, you can work for automotive industry, aerospace industry, or food processing, or shipbuilding, maybe robotics, medical fields. And also in the near future, because of the laws and the climate change, also we are also looking forward for recycling factors. And also the main important thing, if you have already noticed, the world is moving to electric locomotives in such. And then the industry is also looking forward for how good we can have the energy storage system, battery packs. So it is not only battery, there might be any other technology which is coming up in the future. So it is clear the research opportunity is open for every industry. So anybody can do research. That's clear. Okay. And the point is, where do you want to keep up this research in which different field? So for example, if I am a chemical engineering, I can work on paints, I can work on surface layer treatment and many other things. And I can still be working for aerospace, I can still be working for space industry, I can still be working for automotive, or I can still be working for home interiors. It is still the same. The knowledge, the technology needed mostly differs at the level, but in the core, it is the same chemical things that you will be working on. So the research is open for all, and you can work in any different field that you like. Glenson.
All right. Thank you, Sandeep, for throwing light on the higher studies and research, because research field is something that's a huge avenue for every engineer, be it mechanical or computer science. So thanks a lot for giving us light on all that. ಸಂದೀಪ್ ಅವರ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ. ನೀವು
ಹೇಳಿ.
ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸದವರು ಚಿಕ್ಕಮಂಗ್ಳೂರಿಂದ ಏರ್ಬಸ್ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ. ಏರ್ಬಸ್ ಯು ವರ್ಕ್ ಇನ್ ಎಸಾ, ನಾಸಾ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಅ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಜರ್ನಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಕನಸನ್ನು ಹೊತ್ತು ಬಂದಂತಹ PU ಹುಡುಗರು, ಇಂಜಿನಿಯರಿಂಗ್ ಹುಡುಗರು ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಿವಿ ಮಾತೇನು?
ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ, ನಾನು ನಾಸಾಗೆ ಅಂತ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಕ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ಸೋಲಾರ್ ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಆರ್ ವರ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ an instrument called polarimetric and heliosysmic imager, which is on board European Space Agency's solar orbiter mission. ಅದು ನಾಸಾದವರು ಲಾಂಚ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಫ್ಲೋರಿಡಾದಿಂದ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ತುಂಬಾ ಖುಷಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕೆಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಕಳಸದಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಊರು, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಾವು ಸ್ಕೂಲಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ನವೋದಯಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಿ, ಅದು ಒಂದು ಹಳ್ಳಿ ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲೇ ಇದ್ದು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬಂದು ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಟು ವರ್ಕ್ at Airbus in France, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ opportunity ಸಿಕ್ತು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಜರ್ಮನಿ. ಇಟ್ ವಾಸ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಎ ನೈಸ್ ಇಂಟ್ರೆಸ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಜರ್ನಿ. ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ ಸರ್ತಿ ಹಳ್ಳಿಯಿಂದ ಬಂದಾಗ sometimes we have to put a little bit more effort ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. It is not because of the technology or the technical information. ಅದು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸೇಮ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ನೇ ಓದ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಊರಿಂದ ಶಿಫ್ಟ್ ಏನ್ ಬರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಈಗ ಕಳಸದಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಹಳ್ಳಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನಾವು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬಾಳೆಹೊನ್ನೂರಿಗೆ ಹೋದೆ ನವೋದಯಕ್ಕೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬಂದೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಈ ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಅಸ್ ಟು ಪುಟ್ ಮೋರ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ನಾನು ಮುಂಚೆನೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಆ ಊರಿಗೆ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಆ ಕೆಲ್ಸಕ್ಕೆ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಜನಗಳಿಗೆ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಯು ನೀಡ್ ಟು ಪುಟ್ ಲಿಟಲ್ ಬಿಟ್ ಮೋರ್ ಎಫರ್ಟ್ಸ್. ಅದಾಗಿದ್ದೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗನೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನಮಗೆ ಫ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋರಿಗೆ ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಈಸಿನೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಒಂದು ಊರಿಂದ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಹೋದಾಗ ವಿ ನೀಡ್ ಮೋರ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಟು ಗೆಟ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಟು ದ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್, and we need more time to learn many different things, not the technical stuff I am saying, but the rest of the other things in and around it. So ಒಂಥರ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು journey. Yes.
All right. Really a remarkable journey, I must say. And, you've been inspiring us right from the first time that I spoke to you. I've always endured the simplicity and humbleness that you had. That's indeed yet another sign that, it will, these are things which take people around and would take them a long way. So thank you. Thank you once again for being here.
Thank you very much for your wish.
Yes, yes. The stage is now open for audience to ask questions. If you may have any questions to Mr. Sandeep, you may post in the chat box or on the YouTube live. All right, Sandeep, I have a question from Mr. Ivan D'Souza. I would like to reframe. Like you said, you've not worked with NASA, but you've worked for the European Space Agency, and your satellite was launched up in NASA. So Mr. Irvin D'Souza wants to ask you, how does it feel like to be working with the space agency?
I am not directly working for space agency. I am working for a research institute where this is the PI, like Principal Investigator Institute, where we design the mission of our instrument. We design the instrument itself. We put the funding for it. We will build it, we assemble it, we test it, and we integrate it. And then we also operate it at the end. So it was really nice to be part of a research institute which is doing a core scientific work, in which it is also working on the scientific part, looking at the sun, what it's doing, and also it is also building instrument to do its scientific research by itself. So it was really nice, and it gave me a lot of opportunities to look the field in a different horizontal level, not only into my mechanical engineering, but I see there are many electronic engineers who are working here. They are also building software, and there are software engineers who are also building software, and chemical engineers who are also working for reaching the aim of the whole instrument. Okay, so here I would like to just point out how important it is to look at different parts of engineering as such. As part of my job, I am also involved something called cleanliness of the space instruments. Okay, and it is mainly related to the phenomena called outgassing of materials that we use to build the instrument. Mostly when you see outgassing and related subject, it is an important aspect of a mechanical of the chemical engineer. But I am coming from the mechanical engineering background. I am trying to learn these things in my own way to understand the philosophy, the methodologies, and to see how these things impact my work. So I had to learn the things from chemical engineering, at least a top part of it, so that I can have a feeling for what's happening with respect to outgassing. Maybe I am not an expert, but I am trying to learn. So even though I'm a mechanical engineering, I am trying to learn this thing. So I had to be open. I had to put some more efforts to learn these things and efforts. And I also wish that the students take these efforts and encouragement to do things outside their own field. Yes.
All right. So if I would like to sum it up, you were just trying to say that, you cannot restrict yourself to your stream. When you start working in the ground reality, you have to learn a lot of allied fields that makes a project complete. All right. Thanks a lot, Sandeep, for taking up the question. I have Mayush Shetty, who asks, how was the heat shield designed for the solar projects?
Okay. This is actually really an important part of the solar orbiter mission. So I am not part of this actual research, but as a general engineering, because it is coming from the same field, I have few knowledge about it. So this was built by ESA from over the years. They had made research, and then there was a coating which was done in front of the heat shield, so to keep the heat out of the spacecraft. And what happens is it was built by a company, NBO in Ireland. So the heat, the front sheet has a titanium sheet, and it is coated by pitch black coating, which will keep all the heat to itself. And then there is a gap so that in vacuum the heat is not transferred too much to inside of the spacecraft. So this is a really interesting project, and then you can find more information in the internet. So I am not really involved in this, but this is a very interesting piece of engineering technological advances what ESA has made for the Solar Orbiter project.
All right. Thank you, Sandeep. Vaishnavi asks you, we are talking about engineering and the studies in general becoming interdisciplinary. What do you think is going to be the future of research? Do you think even research is going to be, multidisciplinary? Are we going to shift to that?
Yes, sure. If I understood it correctly, so research can also be multidisciplinary, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's clear. So even when you're doing research in any field, maybe it's medical or horticulture or engineering or science, mathematics, so you will be diving deep into one subject in your research. That is how research is looked into it. So there is not into a broader spectrum, but you're looking deep into it. But the fact is, the applications of your research could be interdisciplinary. And then it is very important for you to have some knowledge about the different fields in which the research what you're doing will be applied onto. So if you are putting some efforts to learn what the industry needs from the research what you are doing, it can be applied for many industries as well. So if you are keeping open mind, if you're keeping your eyes open, you can surely have a very interesting project for your whole life. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Sandeep, once again. So here I have an aspiring aeronautical engineer who's asking you, what are the other things, what extra than academics should I do to excel in my career?
I would say you should be very self-motivated. You should keep your eyes open. You should be open for the change. So that is very important, because every 5 years, normally the industry shifts because of the financial situations of the whole world, and also where the industry is moving, where the technology is moving. There is always a change, and you should be ready to accept this change and ready to adapt to the new change as soon as possible. And you should be ready to put in more efforts, and main importantly, you should not stop learning. So one of my friends was always telling that anybody should not forget the process of learning. So up till your retirement, you will either learn one or the other things in a different way. Okay, and so over your career also, every 5 years there will be a change, most likely, that you should change yourself and you should learn new things, and you should not forget the process of learning itself.
Yes, be motivated, always be involved with the process of learning, is what you told. And here I have Miss Amal Madhu, who says, asks you, how do you think as an Indian I can work in such coveted projects that you work in? How do I go about it?
Okay. That's a good question. It is because that, as I'm saying that I am here today, it doesn't mean that around 10 or hundreds or thousand people can immediately be in the same place in 10 or 15 years. Okay, that's a different story. But the fact is, if you aim to be here, you could work towards it to be here. For example, I can give an example. So now you have studied software or mechanical or chemical or electronics engineering or information technology. You can then try to join masters in your own interest and then try to make a research project. Okay, in this case, you could, while you are searching for your research project, you could then search for companies where your research is oriented towards the space research, for example. So in our institute as well, Max Planck Institute for Solar System Research, they have a branch called IMPRESS, called International Max Planck Research Institute, where you could apply for scientific research. So here we have students coming from software, we have students from mechanical engineering. Normally they will be working on thermodynamics and hydrodynamics. And there are also people coming from chemical engineering. They are not doing actually science or like related science, but they are working on the research, how they can protect the spacecraft. What are the coding that we need to use? Yeah. So in principle, there is space for everybody who wants to be here. So you just have to plan for this. You have to see how you can reach there, and you have to take one step at a time, and then you can be here. It's possible.
Plan and live up to your passion. It is all possible. All right. So I have Mr. Narendra Naik who asks, how do you think, I mean, how can these satellites tolerate such enormous amount of heat dissipated by the sun?
So for the solar orbiter, I can give you an example. Our instrument called PHI, or polarimetric and heliosysmic imager, it's a telescope as such. But to stop the heat energy coming into the instrument, we have something called heat rejecting entrance window. We call it HREW. And this window has two substrates, and it has 4 coatings because of the 2 surfaces of two substrates. Yeah, and every coating will stop the heat energy to come in. So this is the one level of stopping the heat energy, because there are different types of coating which will allow only certain level of light which can come in, and which can block mostly the infrared light, which is the main carrier of the heat energy. And the next is the heat shield for solar orbiter. That is also a technological marvel in which ESA has achieved it for the solar orbital project.
All right. Thank you, Sandeep. I mean, you've spent a good amount of time with us discussing to our students and faculty as you know, what was your journey, and what made you different, and how you are today, and what has made you you know, reach this position. Thanks a lot for being here. So before I conclude, I would want to hear a concluding remark from you, Mr. Sandeep.
Oh, thank you very much for having me here. I would just say this: think of your dreams, think of your passion, and just don't think, oh, idral scope ide marya, alli hogana, hagide marya, idral foreign ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ, ಹಾಗೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ full ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡದೆ, just think what you want to do in your life, and then position yourself in a group and work for it. Because if you are just doing however the system takes you antidaga, over the years, oh, ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿರ್ಬೇಕಿತ್ತು, ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿರ್ಬೇಕಿತ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಫೀಲಿಂಗ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. So you will be in the crossroads. So you will not enjoy the process of actually working. So ನನಗೇನ್ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, you have to always follow the passion, and then look into the industries where you can realize your passion of working, keeping all the basic requirements. Money is always the basic requirement, that's a different story. But passion and enthusiasm to learn more, enthusiasm to do more in the same field what you're working on, will keep you going every day morning. So this is what I would like to say, the young minds there.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sandeep. I know it's too early at your place now. You've taken up the pain being here at this time and talking to our students. Your journey from Kalasa to the Jawaharlal Nehru Vidyalaya and to ESA, it's all been great. And I'm sure each of the participants today who are here are really inspired with your journey. And the simple question of how as an Indian can I be there is a testimonial that I have a bunch of students who really want to make it big, who have got inspired from what you said and your journey. So thanks a lot for being here. Thanks a lot for being a part of this webinar series here at MITE. Thanks a lot for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenson. It was my pleasure to interact